Come on. And we are back. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're going to talk about Harlots Season 3, Episodes 3 and 4. And, whew, these are two hard-hitting episodes for the middle, I guess you want to say, of this season.
I'd say this is a episode for CTE awareness.
Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Yes, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But we got, I guess, the Harlots group together, all back again. So, whoever wants to say hello first may do so now.
Hey guys, it's me, Fake Aria / Braavosi broadcast / just Erin. But how are you guys doing? It's nice to see you all and ready to really have some traumatic experiences tonight, and just be really heartbroken together. So it's really nice to see you guys, and it's nice to have this friend of ours. Wait, this friend of ours over here, Mr. Be Crazy. Back in the history.
I got my hair did for this episode, and I actually want to have some fun. I don't know about Erin being this emo kid, but we'll see what's going on with that. No, I'm just kidding. She has no emotions, and this is the Black Heart panel. Only Sasa really has a soul, and it's ironic because she is a ginger.
Well, then it's still questionable.
Nah, I'm pretty sure she's the closest one that has a soul.
Probably. She's young. She hasn't been destroyed emotionally yet.
Yeah. Life hasn't fucking pulled a Vikings on her and just pillaged her.
She hasn't had a blood eagle of emotions in life yet. Am I right?
Vikings.
It's already getting sad.
Well, it's a sad well, it leads to a sad episode, so it's all right. Johnny, how else are you? How are you doing today, though, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Don't y'all worry about me. I actually got my ass is made of steel, so it actually helps in everyday life. I am who Wolverine was modeled after, except they just didn't give him the hairy, steely ass. It's the only problem. They were close with it, but it's only my ass. I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? But whatever.
I thought they removed that. Now you're just a sack of flesh slithering around.
Look, I don't want to walk away from this and then just rethink my entire life. Let's just have a good time, Erin.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm just freaking kicking you like a...
Oh, you're positively glowing with hate tonight. You're just...
Maybe you need the Nancy avatar.
I like it.
I think I need a Nancy ass whooping.
Just come on over whenever.
That can be arranged. Have to have consent though first. You know.
Yeah, there's paperwork involved.
Disclaimers, waiver forms, and testing of durability. Anyways, continue.
Anyway, yeah, we're and we have also Kaci joining with us today, also as Nancy today. So,
hi everybody. Sorry, just trying to keep the mood light so we don't all end up crying and eating our feelings and ice cream later.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I did that already, so. But
or drinking the feelings away with gin.
Yeah, I cried for hours, scrolled Twitter, and had a chocolate bar. That was my grieving process.
That's good therapy. Good solid advice.
Yes, it is. And we'll get to one of our main characters' death in a moment, or what leads up to that. But we have some great and fun people in the chat. We have some person named Braavosi Broadcast. Don't know who she is, but she's always here. We also have Sasuke, Amanda the Fearless Mermaid. Amanda, hope everything gets sorted out soon, because that doesn't sound very nice with your jaw going on. We also got some person named House of the Conqueror. Here, I don't know who he is, but he's back. um, as well as Danny McKay.
You make some very contradictory statements. Gets my debating brain going. Okay, but keep going.
Danny McKay is also here, as well as some person named House Lorebridge. Again, don't know who they are.
I think you're lying right now. Like, I have this distinct feeling you're not telling the truth about not knowing these people.
And we also have Miss Duncan the Tall, Cece.
Oh, Cece's here.
Yeah.
Nice. I missed it.
I think she's listening from work, but
she's hiding. Well, we love you, Cece.
She's lurking.
Cece, give me 10 jumping jacks.
I love a lurking
Everybody
Cole.
in the office looks at you like
Nothing's better than a lurking Cole, Cece.
Yeah.
or push up. So, just
The
walk on
lurker.
your hands.
And I think we got everybody. If I missed you, you can yell at me in a comment. But yeah, we kind of start episode 3 with everybody basically like Quigley's back. She kind of came back at the end of the last episode, but now she's back.
I don't know why I had to do that.
Back in full force with her new sidekick, Kate, which I know Johnny will want to talk about in a little bit. But we also have pretty much the arrival of Margaret Wells, now Margaret Young, and her new husband, and they returned from America.
She's got a slippery neck.
So
that's my girl.
Yeah. But, never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. Sorry.
Was the return of Margaret Wells... So a question that I have was, Margaret Wells is now back in England under a new identity. Was this something that you expected so early in this season?
No, I expected her to come back eventually, but I expected at least a few more episodes into the season.
I wouldn't have even been surprised if they put like a season in between them, you know? But I guess there was the time jump of like a year, but still, she did a lot. She got shit in a year's time, so go Margaret. She can.
She's a harlot. She does what she has to.
That's right.
So, yeah, she was an indentured servant. From what I'm hearing, I guess that was part of her sentence and all that goodness. But her main drive here is to get back to her family. Her last words is she doesn't have a life without her family. You know, it's not necessarily true, but it is to an extent. She made a point to get back there and then, you know, have fun with Theon for a little bit. I don't know. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but yeah, I got some defense for Miss Wells tonight. I know half this panel is not happy with Margaret Wells, but yeah, I will defend my Mrs. Wells.
He will defend his Mrs. Wells.
Well, somebody's got to, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't like your attitude, Kaci, but let's keep going.
But
yeah. It's not that bad.
You thought it was bad, though? You thought it was weak sauce that she showed up so soon? What about you, Mackenzie?
I think her showing up, because it's spoken through the, like, when I first showed up, I was like, oh, hey, she's back. But then also at the same time, because of the context of why she's back and everything else, I was just like, because she goes back to Greek Street, which, of all places, she probably shouldn't have never went to, because, you know, there's going to be people that are going to automatically recognize her, even though portraits weren't really a big thing for the lower classes people will still recognize her. So that was kind of a poor thing. And then when she's like, all right, she sits down and she's like, takes a shot of gin, and then she's like, all right, we're all going to America, basically is what she says. And they're all like, what? When the girls specifically walk away, they're like, I'm happy she's back, but I don't want to go to America, was one thing that I was like, yeah, like because if they were going to go with that part of that storyline, them all moving to America, I was like, then that changes the whole identity of this show, because the show was meant to be about Margaret in England during this time. So it's like, that was my first initial thought. I was like, that whole thing then changes the identity, and then what happens later with that as well. But
for now, you could see that as a passing thought, though. It's just something she threw out there. She even said she wasn't really thinking. She hasn't thought it through yet. She just wanted to see her family. And we know the tragedy that befell the entirety of London, or whatever the fuck they are. I don't know. I can't remember, because I've been reading and watching too much shit lately. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't stop soaking in stuff. So all the other stuff's like being shit out. So I got to regurgitate more things. Anyways, it was just a passing statement, but who knows? She could be serious. I don't know yet, but
I don't think it's bad that she returned or anything. I just think that she could have in a little bit more careful way. Like if she's trying to avoid, she could have written under the guise of Mrs. Young and kind of like dropped a hint that she was going to be coming back, or kind of kept a lower profile for a little bit longer than she did. I don't know. She's just really rash, and it rubs me the wrong way.
Well, if you send a letter,
shut up, Erin.
Chances are that you and the letter is going to get there at the same time. I don't know. You can't rely on, especially a letter coming from, I don't know. It's going to be difficult. When she got to town, I think she should have sent to them instead of, I agree with you on that. But I don't know. She's desperate to see her family. That's a big emotion at play there. And, Harriet gets away with it. So let's give Margaret one.
Okay, like I get on the grounds of the mommy heartstrings, I'll give Margaret one here.
It is a little bit. I did find it a little bit unbelievable that she hadn't thought it through any further than that. I mean, I guess she has had quite a bit going on in the last year. She had to get a job, seduce that man, marry that man, who, by the way, apparently never stood a chance. And then get to a position where they're trusting enough of each other where she told him her situation. He was aware of it. So she wasn't, she had a few secrets. She didn't tell him about Mr. North. But that's kind of a complicated conversation to have with an American husband. And it's like your baby daddy back home that you never married kind of thing. So it's kind of that's a tough, I could see why she might have left that detail out, but he still trusted her enough to try and get her back there, basically smuggle her back there and be the one that's protecting her. So she obviously had put a lot of trust in him at that point, but it is interesting that she hadn't thought it out further than that. What are you going to do once you get back there? You had a lot of time to think while you're on that ship, Margaret. You didn't think about
she even tells Mr. North and everybody that she's going to think about it. She's going to think of a plan. You're fucking here. Why don't you have a plan already?
Mm-hmm. Maybe she was just kind of, what'd you say?
I said, how many months were you on this boat to go from America to
seriously? Yeah. And just, maybe she just wanted to see kind of how things were going at home and just kind of get a feel for things before she was because the girls did even say oh, she comes home and she takes over everything. So maybe maybe that was her effort to not take everything over. She was like, all right, I'm just going to go back. I left them to their own devices. So I have to trust that they, I left them sink or swim, and I have to trust that they could swim. So I have to go back and see what the situation is and not just assume that I can come home and take everything over.
Well, also, too, I think that something happened after she worked Mr. Young. I think in the beginning it was just her literally trying to get back to her family. And at this point, that's all that's on her mind. Well, she falls in love along the way. That's a fucked up complication, but it happens, and it's all too common. And, he showed her a kindness and was probably really good to her in her time of need, and seems like a good man. So
yeah, he does.
I could see Margaret Wells going back to America by her damn self, or because it doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't really have a plan, like you said. She's just shooting at the hip right now, and that's a little uncharacteristic for Margaret Wells. She usually tries to think it through. It's fucked up thinking, but with this, she just is shooting from the hip. So, bang, bang, Danny McKay.
Yeah, I do feel
Bang,
bad
bang.
for Mr. Young.
Yeah, like in a sense, he was kind of
He's a good
played.
man.
Yeah, he's a good man, but also in the sense he's been played, and it kind of, in a sense, it's kind of been what is the eventual end of this episode. But basically, what happens is we all kind of know what happens if you watch this episode. But that ultimately there's going to be a party at Isabella's house, and that there's going to be just everybody and their mother, except for Margaret Wells, is going to be there, and there's going to be a boxing match, which Mr. North is kind of spearheading with his boxer, as well as like the competition, and all of this is like going on in the background, and we have like them all also in the meantime dealing with the fact that they're all basically don't understand why she's here. Like we kind of talked about, like Mr. North doesn't understand why she's here, and toting around this new husband that he sort of doesn't understand. Like he's like, okay, so you married this man, but you were never for marriage, and all of the stuff. Like he doesn't really understand it, and he's like, and it's also a white man too. So
that's gotta be a slap in the face to Mr. North.
Yeah.
Mr. North. So when he's going to search for her body, I know I wasn't here for that part, but that was pretty heartbreaking, and he has just been grieving the whole time. He's one of those dudes that he didn't even get with anybody, has he? I know he got,
No, I don't
talking
think so.
with Harriet, and Harriet's always trying to brush up on that D, but he is a one-woman man. Got to respect that about Mr. North. And also, it goes against nature.
If
it happens.
If we can give it to Margaret, man, when a man falls for her, he does not not fall for her. Like, remember Harriet's husband? He moved to America and married two other, and still
It's like a
Margaret.
Godzilla movie right now.
Still wanted Margaret on the what? Anyways,
Godzilla. That's what it looks like up there.
is my thing cutting out? Anyways, whatever.
No, you just gotta.
No,
your
you're good.
voice doesn't match up with your words, but keep going. I'm sorry. I'm just.
I just make
asshole.
noises and.
Oh, now you're caught up again.
Anyway,
You're saying good stuff. I'm being a stupid dickhead. Just keep going.
Cece misses you though.
What was I saying? You got me all fucked up now.
when men fall in love with Margaret, they never fall out of love with her.
It's true. And Mr. North, he really loves her. And even when he left her for a while, he was all tore up and he had his chance to hook up with Harriet. He didn't do it. And then when he thought she was dead, he had another chance to hook up with Harriet. He didn't do it. And then who knows? I mean, maybe in the last year he's got some strange or something like that. And what's her face? She really certainly likes Mr. North. Elizabeth, she thinks he's a fine looking man. So he's got ladies like coming after him, but he is, I think he'll always love Margaret.
Wow.
Yeah.
But now she's got another man that loves her too.
You know, maybe they heard a little thing about Mormonism. Maybe I'm just joking. Just to be a little polygamous. Margaret can have 2 husbands, right? Or a concubine.
Brother
Mr. North make a good concubine.
Oh, I don't remember
Well,
what
that's
that's
the thing,
called.
like,
Not polygamy. But like when the woman has multiple dudes.
Oh yeah.
What's that called?
You mean
it's not polygamy.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to look. I'll look that up or something. Hold
you know what I'm talking about, Johnny?
Yeah, it's the brother husband
Okay.
instead of the sister wives.
What was the,
yeah.
Huh?
Did you guys see that thing on Facebook that was about Floris the fox too, who had 3 husbands, but each of the husbands didn't know about the next, and they all were the lords of great houses. I was like, dang girl.
I mean,
it's polyandry.
Thank you, Johnny.
Yeah.
Yep,
I'm a
that's
good
Margaret.
looker upper, I think. I need to find a job.
You're the best looker upper.
Yeah. Google searcher. It's probably a job.
He is the god of the Google.
I also like turtles.
I like turtles. And speaking with the whole boxing thing, Elizabeth even is like, Mr. North, you need a proper jacket for this event. So he's like, I'll style your jacket. And because Lucy's kind of making some money now, she's like, Dad, it's a gift. Or Pa, it's a gift. He's like, I can't accept it, but it's a gift. Because like, and that whole situation too with Lucy and Elizabeth and Fredo and the whole Molly House / Taylor situation, that we can talk about in a moment almost. But yeah, like the whole
that coat was made with dick bags that Cherry sold. Made off the back of dick bags. There you go. Sorry. The backs of dick. My God, I'm horrible. I'm sorry. I will shut the fuck up for a little while. I'm banning myself for about 15 minutes. Y'all go ahead.
He's hiding.
And
he put himself in timeout.
Then we have like Lucy. She's basically reading stories about herself in the paper. And she's also being paid for her discretion in terms of what she's actually seeing and being owners of in this household. Are you liking the fact that she doesn't have to do any work effectively? She just has to basically lie for these people, not the judge. Is it the judge? One of the new judges or something like that?
Oh,
Justice.
The one that Fredo kind of has a
yeah.
What is his job? He's just I don't think he's a justice or anything. Maybe he is, but
he's just a pompous dude in a wig.
Yeah, just like a lord or something like that. I don't know. So. But he's around town. He's around there pretty frequently, so he must hang about the courthouse. Maybe he's, I don't know, something like that.
I mean, I kind of like that Lucy doesn't have to be taking calls anymore, because she never liked it in the first place. And even, I'm not saying that all the women like it, but she never really even took to it very well either. So I kind of like that she's put herself in another position where she has a little bit more agency over what she does and who she sleeps with, and she doesn't have to.
Sorry.
What did I say? What sounded wrong?
No. Sorry. It was just what I did.
Posting stuff.
Johnny's in timeout. Anyways, I agree with what you say, and I think that she's being smart. She's kind of figured it out to where she's she's starting to become more business savvy. So she's kind of using that to her advantage. And then she's even taking it a step further where you see her sitting there reading the newspaper when that dude was leaving. And just by saying like that she knew who he was, that was it. He started paying her basically is what he's paying to Fredo for his services because he wants that kept under wraps. So she's starting to kind of do what Lydia did, is starting to keep secrets and making money off of it. So I think it's,
Yeah, because it was like like 5 guineas or whatever for the actual time, but then it was like 7 for silence or something, or more for silence, which was quite, in my overused word, interesting. And I think that that's going to be something that moves forward, because she's obviously going to need probably something from him in the future. It'll just be one of those situations where it's like, I have to have her known as my mistress, like kind of thing. Like, because
it's one thing for a dude to be known to visit, the Harlots, but to be visiting a Molly house, that's a whole different ball game. No one cares if you're visiting, the house on Greek Street, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Golden Square, like, but I guess because Lucy still has that reputation that it's just like, oh, she's just taking up residence near Golden Square or something like that. So it's like, I guess it's not as bad. And these two are giggling at each other, which is kind of, the ones below me are giggling.
That's funny. They're talking about fanfic going on in here. Put some lemons in there, and Sasaki goes straight to San every
Where
time.
is your mind,
Every time.
Sasaki?
She's on that San fanfic website. She done sent me links too. That shit is raunchy.
Nothing wrong with
Did
that.
you know that
Juicing those
Sandor's
lemons.
right side of his dick is burned too? It's crazy.
What?
Who the hell knew that? Oh, it's awful.
Clearly.
It's clearly detailed in the fanfic. And too much detail, I might add. I'm just making shit up, by the way. That is no bearing on any website. But I'm sure it's there. If I can think of it, more fucked up people than me can think of it. Oh, man. So what we were talking about, I put myself in timeout. Y'all go ahead. I will jump in this.
We were just talking about, like,
better than this.
Lucy and the whole thing with the Molly house and how she basically has to keep a man's secret. But she'll probably use it in the future. And what was the other thing that I wanted to...
Sasuke, sorry.
No, it's fine. That's kind of like the big thing with like Lucy this episode is that she's dealing with her dad or her pa. I keep saying dad. And it's interesting that she's keeping her business's real identity away from him almost. It's like, because he doesn't really exactly understand that it's actually a Molly house. He thinks it's like a tailor's. So
everybody that's involved with that could get the noose. It's dangerous as this one. It's probably the most dangerous job you can have at this time, from what I'm gathering. She's crazy. Go ahead, Kaci. I see you. Look, don't beat me with the switches. Oh, I'm just trying.
Come on, you'd like it.
I can't say whether I would or not on air.
Okay, that's fair.
That's gotta, like Molly houses. Anyways.
Or houses with Molly in it.
The statue with the what was the question? I don't know.
I was
about
whether or not it was smart for Lucy to keep this from Mr. North.
Well, her business actually is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, your dad's going to understand stuff like that, all right? Especially Mr. North being your pa. Like, he's going to understand, like, shady business and that kind of thing. He might not approve of it, but when he got upset finding out about it, he was more upset that what's her face was doing shady business deals behind
her back.
Behind her back.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're taking advantage of her youth and inexperience. So that's what he was mad about. Now, if he would have known what was going on the whole time, then he probably would have like sniffed it out sooner, or just made sure she was making responsible choices. But now she's kind of in the boat. So at least he knows, and he can kind of help her from there. But yeah. We've all done that, though. I mean, maybe not this exact same situation, but who hasn't kept a secret from their dad that freaking backfired in their face, that you're like, God, I should have just told my dad, and my dad would have been totally cool about it, but we didn't, because live and learn,
He would have been cool because he would have did anything to keep Lucy safe.
Exactly.
That's the thing, right? But she just, if it's from a child's, any child, if you have parents, there's always a little bit of shame that comes in, that you just don't want to tell your parents the bad things you do, so to speak. I don't know. You're afraid of chastisement, and also, it's an innate fear, I think, that she was just going off of.
It's probably a sense of pride also, because like she put on the big girl pants and made this, decision. And it was she got Golden Square, which is like pretty impressive, but she kind of got into a shady business deal along with that. So she's like proud of it, and she wants to keep that sense of pride, but also there's the fuck up aspect, and that's what she doesn't really want to like admit to.
It's her first ever investment. Like, we get this, the thing about this show, what I love, what I noticed when I was catching up, especially at the start of the third season, is how much we got to see Lucy grow up. Yeah. Like, she has turned into a woman, but she's still a young woman that's finding herself. She doesn't like having sex for money, to put it simply. She doesn't want to do it, really. It's not her thing. So she's already talking about taking over and being the head of her own house, right? And this is where she goes into, her life savings, which is 200 guineas, I guess.
Probably.
What's funny? Yeah, what's funny is Nancy's like, you're rich. I'm like, hold on just a minute. She can't even buy a house.
Well, that's like a pretty fancy house. She probably could have bought another house.
Yeah, true.
Golden Square. She bought for $600 with 3 investments. Or 3 investors.
But can I make a bold prediction now? Margaret goes back to America. Lucy stays there and is the head of her own bordello, brothel, whatever you want to call it. Cunning house.
Do you
the
think
best
she'd
cunning
be head
house
of Creek
there is?
Street, maybe?
Yeah, I think she'll be the top dog, especially what she showed off making them boys chase her around the city. Oh, that just shows her prowess and how much influence and charisma she has. She has that of a serial killer. Serial killers don't necessarily have, they're not all serial killers. If you have those traits, you can talk people out of their shoes. Basically, she could talk them into doing anything. She exhibited that. So she's just, I think, she's gonna conquer the fucking world. I don't like a lot of the shit she does. It pisses me off. But I think that's the point of Lucy's character, and watching her go make a bunch of mistakes and learn from them.
Yeah.
Because we all have to.
It's the young person's perspective.
Mic drop. Bye. I'm putting myself in timeout again.
It's the young person's perspective. Go ahead.
I think with her hiding what she's doing from Mr. North, or maybe not hiding it, but just not being super open about it, I think part of it has to deal with like what she and Charlotte were talking about when Lucy mentioned that like Margaret just smothers them. Like, Lucy is still trying to stretch her wings, and she's still enjoying that freedom of not having someone constantly hovering. And so she probably just is like, fuck off, Dad. Let me do this myself. We're fine. Just leave me be.
Mm-hmm.
Just because she just wants to. She's a stupid 17-year-old and thinks she knows everything.
Yeah.
We were all there. It's fine.
We were all 17 once.
Dad will still come and save you. Don't worry.
Your pa will always come back. He's not going anywhere.
He Anybody notice all three of those truths she told? Well, one of them was supposed to be a lie, but wasn't every single one of them a fucked up truth? Well, one
Yeah,
of them wasn't
Yeah.
fucked up, like her
Yeah,
dad.
like
That's
my
not that
mother was
fucked up.
hung, and then it's like my dad is
But-
a black man, and then what was it? My mother was hung. My dad is a
Oh, her virginity was
Oh,
sold
yeah.
twice
yeah.
for 50 guineas a piece.
Oh, but that was the
A
lie
pop. I
because
don't
she
know.
got but wasn't it like 100 a piece or more?
no, it was 50.
Because I thought it ended up being 100 for the first one.
Did
Maybe
it?
I'm wrong. Maybe I'm
No,
wrong.
because the person said George Howard was going to double whatever the highest bidder was, and the highest bid was 50, so he would
Well, she
double
should have
it.
got 100, right?
Yeah, so that's
I
the
don't
lie.
know. Whatever. We'll go back, check the semantics.
Fact check us later.
No.
They were all close enough to the truth, though.
They weren't really much lies.
No.
They're like half truths. And I think before, we'll talk about Margaret, and then we'll go back to Lydia before we talk about the end. So my other big question.
Yeah, hanged.
My big
Fettuccine Alfredo.
Jesus. So we have I think we talked about this earlier, but because it's so prevalent throughout the episode, is Margaret wants to be Margaret wants to be back with her family. It's obviously expected, but is it too much of a risk for her family when there are people that are going to obviously recognize her? So we see that through when the Pincher brothers show up at Mr. Young's house and asking for land in America, and Hal is just like, hey, let's bring Emily along, so she can gawk it up with his wife. And lo and behold, it's Margaret Wells that walks through the door, and Emily Lacey's like, you're supposed to be dead, and she's like, well, I'm not. So it's like,
So why didn't Margaret slap her down to the floorboards when she walked in and Emily was basically about to grab her husband's weenie?
They're harlots, Whatever.
I mean, what
My
they were
wife
talking
is an
about,
astute
how they just
businesswoman.
barely gotten off the boat, basically, and she's already been spotted by someone. They can get her in a shit ton of trouble.
yeah,
She hadn't even gotten to see her damn kids yet, and she's already been spotted.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's one of those situations where you're like, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. When it happens.
Well, if she gets caught, they're gonna hang her again.
For real this time.
And this time, it's probably gonna be for real. She's not gonna have a justice who's gonna, lie his way into getting her transported.
There is that on the plus side. It doesn't seem like there's any of the court people are the same. So I don't think she'll be recognized in that regard. But
Not if Venus has anything to say about it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mrs. Quigley isn't writing what's his name anymore. So
he probably died.
Mrs. Quigley has lost a lot of hair.
it's
I'm
all
just
those
saying.
wigs. Those rigs, they wreak havoc on your scalp.
I like her new wig, how it's kind of disheveled looking, but in a sort of cute way.
It makes her look crazy.
Mm-hmm.
She's owning that part of herself, I think, as well. Does anybody else feel starting to like Mrs. Quigley now? Anybody? Thoughts? Go ahead.
That's what Erin. That's what you said, Erin. Right?
I told you. Mm-hmm. Yep. She just goes through so much. It's hard to, not just get a soft spot for her and just start to feel for her. And then even when she goes to she comes around, she goes and is standing outside of the house, and they're all just like, oh, God, why is she here? You almost kind of, you start to feel bad for her because she's being so shunned and turned away by everybody that she ever knew. I mean, yeah, she did some bad stuff, but she's been through it. She's been enduring way worse than any of them have in the last year. So
y'all are gonna hate me, but I gotta
Why are we
take
gonna
it back
hate
for
you?
just a second because of what Sasaki said about where's it out? How she fucked over that doctor. How Venus. Do y'all know why vibrators were invented?
Yep.
So this is basically they just did manual simulation before they did the. Yeah, that's crazy.
Actually,
so I didn't know if y'all talked about that because I missed that episode.
Kaci sent Mackenzie and I an article.
So I was like, yes, we fucking know, Johnny. God dang it! Don't mansplain me.
Oh my God! Do you know why vibrators were invented?
Dudes use vibrators too. Okay, I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, it's true, but
that's the 1764/65 version.
Sorry, that was pretty good though.
See, I didn't over explain it. See, Sasaki is still spitting out facts, and I'm not even acting like I know them.
Yeah, female hysteria is a real thing.
I mean, those okay. So you need your nerve ending stimulated or something? Is that what you're talking about here? What's going on right now?
I'm just saying.
What are you at?
That if there were no vibrators in this world, that women would be.
We saw what whalebone can do.
Yeah,
be a little cranky.
Mm-hmm.
Crank.
Women were probably super cranky between like.
Forrest blurred up. What did I just hear?
Christianity was introduced until the vibrator was introduced. That was a rough, 600 years for women.
Poor Forrest blurred up.
Forrest
has fault, all right? Just saying. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but you reject the goddess, you reject vibrators.
Wow.
The end.
Whenever I see a peg, I try to sit on it.
Oh my God.
So back to Miss Quigley.
Yes.
I hate to love her at this point, but I really feel everything where she's coming from. Miss May, fucking that's who raised her. You could see, and oh my gosh, fish bones galore. Don't you love fish bones? Fish bones are the best. Nothing but canned tuna for me with no bones. That's what I'm going for. I cannot go out like Mrs. May. I know I've pissed off family members, and I don't know if they would help me. I'm just kidding. I think this is the reward she needs to help her feel better about herself, because she had kind of given up and given in to Miss May and just whatever, let her take her money and everything. She wasn't standing up for herself anymore, not in front of her, and she was doing things to please Miss May, and then just to help Venus, which was wonderful, the daughter she never had. This is a whole nother. Y'all notice the shoes too, right? This is the Margaret Wells situation going on.
Yep.
And that's what Miss May warned her about. I think that's some foreshadowing, because she's gonna want to be her own woman. She's gonna fall in love. That's my prediction. Blah blah blah. We'll talk more about that later. But loving Miss Quigley right now, and you know what? Do it. I don't know what I'm saying.
I'm in that boat with you too, Johnny. I'm liking her, and I'm not liking that I'm liking her. like after we find out all of Mrs. May's crazy and a little bit more details as to how Quigley was raised, you just can't help but feel for her, and I hate it.
Yeah, it's like one of those situations where you're like, you love to hate her, but then now it's like almost like one of those situations where you're like, but dang it, I really like her now. It's like, but even though she's a bad person,
I do hope she has a worse death than Charlotte Wells, though. I will say that I do like her, but I still want to see her die.
It's almost.
I still think she has some penance to do here.
Mm-hmm. It's almost a good experience for her to be in there with Mrs. May, because she was like now she's put in that position where how she made so many girls feel. I mean, she probably was going through that when she was a kid, but then she climbed up and didn't have to deal with that crap anymore. But now she's back in that position. And it was like when Miss May came and just grabbed the money out of her hand and was like, and then she made her go work, and she's like, oh, here's your tip, but go buy dinner with it. It's just like now she's back in that position. Now she's remembering what it was like. And it's probably like a good thing for her. So then she doesn't just come back onto the scene, has Kate, who she can use at her disposal, but she's got this, it's almost like a little, angel or devil on her shoulder, just a little reminder that that's what she could become, or she could try and do it a different way and be a little bit better and just try and take care of this person who helped her when she was in like a really dark place. So I don't know. They have like an interesting dynamic, and hopefully Lydia can remember that and keep that in mind as she's making choices.
Yeah.
Well, she knows
Yeah, we
Margaret's
can hope.
alive.
Yeah, dangerous that she knows that Margaret's alive.
Yeah, that's one person you wouldn't want to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret Wells, if I gotta get pissed off at you about one thing, why the fuck are you singing next to a window where someone can look in? You're not thinking, you're grief stricken, but they took all the other precautions. She couldn't even like show her face at the funeral, show her face when they were investigating the murder. Well, it's not even a murder, but nobody knows that. And
you can't blame everybody for thinking it, though.
No, especially the way it went down. That was so horrible. Great, one of the best death scenes ever.
So
it was fantastic.
Might as well basically talk about what is the catalyst for that, which is Margaret Wells is at home or at Greek Street with Nancy, and then basically Nancy spills the tea on why the house was burnt, and she finds out that it was the Pincher brothers who or spills the gin, whatever you want to call it. And they talk about, because they're all at Lady Isabella's house for a event, and this is also in the middle of the deal that Mr. Young is making with them about the deeds to land in America. Mr. Young finds out that they burned her daughter's house. They call off the deal. Margaret and Mr. Young are like walk away. Charlotte and Isaac continue their relationship, and Hal doesn't like that and basically effectively pushes her over the banister, and she falls to her death basically, but breaks her neck.
You killed Jenny.
And Kate and Lydia are the last people that are on the main floor. Kate holds her hand as she's dying, and they like run off, which is the end of episode 3. And no one knows that what happens to Charlotte until the very first few moments of episode 4. So that's a chilling way to kill off a character, throwing them over a banister or pushing them over a banister.
And a brief ad brought to you by Womanizer. www.womanizer.com. If you want to please the lady in your life or the man in your life or any other, if you just want to please people, get a Womanizer. That is actually a very sexist name, but it's not sexist at all. It doesn't have eyes. It doesn't have ears, but it does have 14 settings. And go get the Womanizer. www.womanizer.com. Promo code Cunny Farts. So let's get back to the
show. I think that scene is where we realize that Quigley actually doesn't have too much ill will against Charlotte. I mean, she wasn't happy to see Charlotte dead or dying at all.
That was
I think that's where we kind of start to see her change. She becomes a little bit more human in that moment.
Mm-hmm. She has kind of that weird moment too, where they're like, well, this is not, but with Lydia, when they're in the fight and she kind of gets faint and she has to like sit down for a minute, which wasn't really elaborated on, but it's almost like she has like a mini little panic attack because of being around
Charlotte
all those people.
and
I
Isabella.
was like, you're grabbing the wrong side of your chest for a heart attack, bitch. No. I thought she was faking it first for real, though, because I don't know. But then you could
Well, it
tell
would
she was
fit with
freaking. I've
her.
had panic attacks like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, whatever.
I
From
mean,
one bitch to another. That shit
It wouldn't have
sucks.
surprised me if she were faking it.
Yeah. I mean, there was really no reason for her to. And yeah, so I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. She was just kind of having those more human moments. And then, yeah, she had to be there. She had to be there with Charlotte. I mean, she could have comforted her a little more. And you would think that she would have, because she felt so like
Terrible.
Yeah, like she loved Charlotte, like that. She like had, you know, she had maternal feelings for her, regardless of all the crap they went through. Even the whole Bedlam thing, which like, I don't remember who said it to her, but she said, Charlotte had you put in Bedlam. She said, my son had me put in Bedlam, because it was her son. It wasn't Charlotte. So, yeah, it's just interesting. I don't know.
Justice for the sugar piggy.
Poor
That's all I
sugar
gotta
pig.
say.
Yeah, the whole climax of this episode, really makes you think, I didn't know they were going to do this. Like, you thought that because Margaret Wells was in America, that obviously, and Margaret Wells has said it before, that Charlotte is her legacy, is her heir. And now that heir has been taken away from her, which, if we start with episode 4, basically everybody finds out that Charlotte is basically going to die. And the Pincer brothers are nowhere to be seen. Emily's nowhere to be seen because they all just flee. And they call for the magistrate to show up. And we get a new magistrate as of now. He's like, I think he's supposed to be like Scottish or something like that, because he has a twinge in his accent. And basically they're like asking all the questions of who would do this, did she have any enemies, and they're all like, no, she stood, like Lucy says, she stood up for people, she was a good person.
Did she have any enemies? Half the town, but no.
Well, no, they told her Mrs. Quigley, and then they told him the Pincher boys. But yeah, it's got to be one of those. I mean, she doesn't really have any other enemies.
Well, I thought, what's her name? Amelia's brother was gonna kill her. That's who I thought was gonna kill her. Like, he was gonna come out of nowhere. What's his name?
Oh, you mean Raslas?
Sister fucker. There we go. Sister fucker.
You thought that Pip was gonna kill
no. Did I say the wrong name? Well, maybe Pip should have killed somebody.
Whose brother?
But dang it, Liv Tyler's brother.
Oh, the Marquess of Blaine.
I'm not gonna say the Marquess of Blaine. Whatever. Fuck that. What's his name? I know he has a different name.
What is his name?
I've heard it.
Harcourt.
Okay. So I thought he was gonna kill Margaret. No, Charlotte. Goddamn. Because he had said the game was coming to her. You know what I mean? And the womanizer.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyways, womanizer, contact me. I will.
They sell the Pincher boys on the next shelf over from the womanizer.
Jesus.
Anyways,
hilarious.
Where were we at? We were talking about a Louvatar.
No, we were talking about like Charlotte, basically the magistrate being called and all of that. But also in that same sequence, you see that Margaret's not willing to give up the belief that Charlotte is going to be okay. Like, she can kind of see that her daughter's dying, but she's like touching her arm, and she's like, "You have 9 lives like a cat." It's like, humans aren't normally like that, but okay. But it's
Cats
sad.
aren't even like that.
That killed my mommy heartstrings.
It's so.
Yeah.
Oh, keep going, Salsa. I keep cutting you off like an asshole. I gotta say,
no.
I'm rusty.
No.
No, you always cut me off like an asshole, Johnny. That's your thing. Okay.
No. But yeah, it's like that whole dynamic scene of her being like her dying in Lady Isabella's house, but Margaret's not willing to let her go. And in the morning, when the magistrate shows up, they're like, "You have to actually hide because this isn't gonna work. You can't just sit here with her because everybody else believes that you're dead except for the 5 of us that are standing in this room." And she reluctantly has to hide in the corner, which is sad, but also at the same time, it's like needs to be done. What did you all think? And I'll talk about it too. When they had killed off this character, I know that it's been said in the chat that the actress had to move on to a new show, but if that didn't happen, even still, like the death of Charlotte Wells is like a big deal. So what did you think about that whole situation?
It was really unexpected. I mean, especially for being in the middle of the season like this, it's not like it was a season finale kind of thing, which I think a lot of times big deaths are on shows. So it, leaves a lot of space for them to go into that and see where it's going to go. And then the fact that we do have Margaret back to kind of fill that position is a good thing and a good distraction. But it is really surprising and it's really sad because Charlotte was really coming into her own. And then, Margaret even reflects on the words, but Charlotte says, it's like, you're living my life. I was going to go to America, but I stayed for you. And now you're there and I'm on Greek Street.
Yeah, because I think Mr. Young is an Irishman. So that's why she said, you're living my life and I'm living your life. You went to America with an Irishman and I'm in London at Greek Street. Yeah.
Makes me think about the movie with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Where they're all rushing for land. What the hell was that movie called? It's a true story.
Far and Away.
Yes, it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
I got you.
Oh, thank you, Kaci. Can you hear me?
You're welcome, but I'm not singing.
Oh yeah, I got a new video out, y'all. So go check it out when you get a chance. It's only a minute long, so
it's a good minute though.
It's worth it.
I had fun watching my own video, so. Yeah, I make it awkward quick. Mrs. You want me to talk about Charlotte Wells? And
talk about her. Tell us how you feel.
It's one of the best deaths on TV. I think it was perfectly executed. I guess they got lucky. You said she was going to a new show. Well, they just stumbled into a masterpiece right here as far as I'm concerned. This is how you kill a main character if you're going to do it with some impact, especially given the tragedies and the accidents that happen in life. This is a all too common affair. Not necessarily this exact scenario, but people die on accident all the time, die far too young, too soon, well before their time, when their potential is not even reached its peak, and it's Shakespearean. I know that's an overused term, but the scene itself, after she hit, she wasn't just passed out. She lay there dying, twitching. At least a goddess held her hand while she was dying. We can give her that aspect. And I think, I would just, oh man, hold on, I'm getting a little choked up here. But it is so beautifully done and impactful and effective and made you feel in the moment. I really feel like someone I knew had passed away. Not like our best friend, but someone I personally know had left us because she was a fucking wonderful spirit. And I fucking think I'm in love with that actress, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
Are you crying?
Me?
I see Erin crying, I think. She's
No, I
getting
might
worked
get a
up
little
over there.
misty, but
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just sensitive, and also I think it's a full moon right now. So, anyways,
Oh, I heard you didn't even have emotions.
only once a month.
Well,
But no, she's
Lunacy.
beautiful.
You
And
know the
also,
cure.
can I just say, I just want to, I don't know who the creator is, Mackenzie, maybe you know, because you sent me that video that somebody did, and they made Charlotte.
Oh yeah.
She was Liana. It was like a Rhaegar and Liana video, and but it was Charlotte as Liana. And can I just say that was like meant to be from the universe? Okay, the end. I don't know. I was sad. Okay.
So, Kaci, would you like to give a brief eulogy for Charlotte Wells?
Oh.
No pressure. Just say whatever comes to mind.
No, I mean, you said it all, basically. I mean, the scene was really well done, and just how they drew it out with her laying there, like, knowing that she's dying. Fuck, man. It was a good one. Not that I'm glad to see Charlotte die. That's not good, but the scene was really well done, and we all felt it.
Mm-hmm.
We all feel a little bit like Isabella with her dead girlfriend in her house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll put the link for the video in the chat. It's a Robert's Rebellion video. And it's Jamie Campbell Bower, who was actually supposed to be in House of the Dragon, surprisingly, plays Rhaegar in it. And I can't remember the actor who's supposed to play Robert, but it's a oldish one, but not too old. But
it's not the greatest one ever, but just Charlotte as Liana. I'm sorry, it was just too perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with Charlotte in this show, it was hard to kind of let her go, because it's almost one of those things where it's like she was effectively, as of I think want to say end of season 2, she became the main character of this show, because Margaret Wells was bye-bye, figuratively, not literally. So the fact that she died was quite harsh, and it also, now that I think about it, it's like a lot of the on-screen love interests that at least Alfie Allen's character has had in the few short TV shows that I've seen him in have all died in form of accidents or strange things. Like Roz died with a bunch of arrows through her chest from Joffrey. Charlotte Wells dies from being pushed over a stairwell.
Mary Cooper died of the pox.
Exactly. Like, there's a bunch of,
Can I tell Catherine Harding of Apparently Human to stay hydrated while out there curling, the most Canadian sport ever? Yeah, are you working the
curling?
brush?
Curling is basically it's ice.
Look it up; it'll blow your mind.
And it's like it's basically bowling with
white
ice.
it is.
It's bowling with ice.
Basically, that's what it is.
And it takes a lot of skill and patience.
Yeah, you have like you throw a rock, which is like your bowling ball, and then you have 2 team members that are sweeping the ice, and then it's like whoever can get closest to the center wins. And if you
may not sweep the ice if you're just playing it with friends. I don't know. But yeah, that's the Olympic curling. I know that.
All right, I know what I will be looking up when we're done here.
Yeah, it's exhilarating.
I'm surprised they don't have it in Idaho.
They probably do.
It's called potato chucking.
Yeah, you could do it with a potato. Dude, a potato would probably go further than a rock, just saying.
It's
potatoes bounce.
Yeah. Also, curling is like an Olympic sport, so it's one of those things. But anyway, yeah, Charlotte.
Back to Harlots.
Yeah, Charlotte's death is one of those things where it changes the entire tone of the show, as we see in episode 4. It's Lady Isabella decides that she wants to open up her home to basically anyone and everyone who wants to say goodbye to Charlotte. Also in episode 3, I believe, is when the Marquess of Blaine has his son with Anne, I believe, is this episode. So he wasn't there, but he probably wouldn't show up anyway.
He was throwing a tizzy fit about the noise.
Because she was screaming because she was in agony because she's giving birth to your child.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, you pop out a baby, dude. Jesus.
She looked like she was having a rough labor, too. Like, she's a small girl, you know.
First child.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, and it showed, like, at nighttime was when he was, you know, first bitching about it. And then the kid's born the next day. Like, she was there for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, first baby. So typically your labor, I'm assuming, is pretty long because your body's not used to it. So
that's what I've heard.
I don't
know, Erin.
Well, all I can say is it took me like a matter of about 20 minutes to go from 4 to 10 centimeters in my first birth. So I'm a birther. Shoot those babies right out. But Ann Pettifer, not built like me. So I don't know.
Some women have birthing kits, some don't. So it's
exactly
one of those situations. And
well,
drag it out for a while.
If we remember from like Quigley's place, like she did not have much hip space at all.
No, she's a small girl. And then they're always wearing corsets. Like she was even wearing a corset when she was pregnant. When they had that scene at the
yeah, it was like a short one.
Yeah. So I mean, women died in childbirth way more frequently. I think we all know that. So back then, but yeah, she looked like she was having a rough labor. And of course, having, what's his name out there just being an ass the whole time does not help at all. Like she was even screaming. She's like, don't open the door for him. He's a beast. Like,
hey, he was having anal contractions the whole time. Okay.
He had to sit there and listen to that. My God.
Yeah. And it was, what did he say? He was like, if she's keeps screaming, like kill her or silence her or something like that. Just get the baby and then silence her.
She's apparently dead, but I saw her standing right there when he said she was dead, so it's confusing.
Mm-hmm. He's so awful. Yeah, he thought that was funny. That's a funny joke. And then she comes out and she's just like, I couldn't imagine like not being able to hold your baby. Like that would just be really difficult to like endure. Like when my son was born, my youngest son, they took like probably like 30 minutes before they gave him to me. Like they gave him to his dad, but they didn't give him directly to me, which was weird, but I was so like, at that moment in time, I was okay with it. But in the aftermath, like I remember the whole time I was like, give me my baby, please. Can I just give me my baby? And like, I'm just laying there. You can't do anything. But Anne's like, he's like got her up, walking around, still dressed in her full, with her corset and everything on. And he's like, she just looks traumatized. Like she looks really traumatized. I felt for her a lot in that situation. It was not cool.
Yeah, she's looking like he hasn't let her hold the baby since he popped out, basically. Like he just kind of took over, and she's just like, what the fuck?
And he probably would like hire a wet nurse or something like that so that, he would just have that. Because you could even see when she came in there and she was like, please just let me hold the baby. Like she didn't care about anything else that was going on. And Isabella could like, see that panic on her.
Let me just take him and then give him over.
Yeah. He didn't want to just give that tiny, tiny kindness or relenting to her to give her own baby. Like he is just a really awful person. He's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's gonna inevitably die this season because they all seem to die at the season finale most of the time anyways. They're close.
We can hope.
The bad people. Yeah, so
wait on Charlotte though.
Exactly. I think, yeah, like the whole scenes with the Marquess are just, you just want to go.
Mhm.
Charlotte
and-
needs is a couple of aspirin.
Yeah,
That's
and
fine.
then the whole thing of like, can he be a good dad? Probably not, is like the question of like,
Yeah. It's not, but like, it's like, okay, it's terrible if he has a daughter because we've all been concerned of him like being a creep or molesting his daughter or like exploiting her or something like that. But is it better for him to have a son where he's going to like teach him these awful behaviors and like raise him to be like him?
If he names it Damien and raises it to be the Antichrist.
His name's Harry. I don't know. I think if he had a daughter, he probably just like wouldn't acknowledge her, and the baby and Anne would be out on the street. But where he's a son, and I don't think he and Anne are married, like he'll just have him legitimized and then toss Anne out on the street.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, because they're like, because Lydia's like, you didn't pay for her or whatever.
Well, she's still Anne Pettifer, and she's not really being addressed by anybody as though she's his wife. So she's more like a mistress.
Yeah. Sasuke says, do you think that Liv Tyler or Lady Isabella will kill the Marquess of Blaine? I don't know. Like Johnny said, they have like that weird Jamie Cersei relationship, more on his end than anything. What do you think?
I don't think that she would kill him. I don't think she has it in her because she's just, you know, she's a lady. If anything else, like she is a classy, highborn lady. Like even though she kind of, you know, keeps with scandalous company and that kind of thing, she's still a fine lady. And all of the people, all of the company, you know, the bad company that she keeps, they still look at her like she's a fine woman and treat her as such. Like they are like, you're not like us. We're not like you. So, you know, she, I don't think she has it in her to kill her brother, despite like, and if she did, she probably would have done it already. Like at this point, he's kind of out of her hair and doing his own thing and hasn't really been bothering her. And now he's kind of got his own other distractions, as we kind of learned. He's trying to get in with the prince. So, yeah, I don't think she has it in her. She did go and question him just to find out if it was him that had come after Charlotte. But did we lose Kaci?
Yeah, she's having internet.
Yeah, I don't think she'll do that.
John?
Well, you know whether she will or not, so it's not even fair.
That's not. I mean, no. I honestly, I can't remember what happens at the end of the season. So I've only watched it one time before this, and now I'm kind of like jumbled. I only remember one part of the end of the season. So honestly, this is basically spoiler free.
I'm hoping at some point she can find out where her daughter is and do something with that. I feel like that's kind of all she's got to hold on to right now. I mean, I guess she was just really close with Charlotte. I think she was in love with Charlotte. That's pretty obvious. I guess Charlotte had love for her, but, you know, Charlotte would never let herself be in love. And who she was in love with possibly was Alfie Allen. But that's still debatable, which I don't remember his name. The Pincher Boys.
Isaac Pincher.
They pinch your nuts. But
yeah, because even when she had her, like, she was having sort of those romantic times with Isabella, like she brought her in on her arm and that kind of thing. But even so, Charlotte couldn't resist sneaking off to have her moment with Isaac
in the park.
No, at the party even too, at the park,
which is what Emily saw her in the park with Isaac, if I remember, in the first part in episode 3. Yeah, we also had like with the whole thing with Isabella as well. There's like that whole the memorial of what Charlotte is, and like they kind of go into like talking about her, and Cherry show up and everybody else, and then there's like the whole what are we gonna do now? Like Mr. Young and Mr. North have a conversation about like, I know what your life was, I know what these kids meant to you, I know what Margaret means to you, and all of this stuff. And it's almost like a sweet kind of conversation that they're having. Like they both know that one of them is obviously going to win if that's or has won her heart in some aspects, but you know, this situation can't last forever because they're very open with Margaret Wells being around, and it's like someone's gonna bound to find her, which with the magistrate just running around basically like, what were you doing last night? What were you doing last night? What were you doing last night? To all of our named characters is quite funny. Because the other magistrates there are just like, come to me. No, I gotta go out into the field and ask all of the questions. Mm-hmm. And Cherry, when she's I think it's this it's this episode where Kate, Johnny's new favorite character, meets the magistrate. Cherry's like, come on, Kate, just work practice with him, and he's like, no, I just want to drown my drown my sorrows in liquor and not the arms of a woman or something like that.
Yeah, beautiful Jade. But yeah, they totally have a thing for each other. She's like, my friend says I should practice.
It's like it's like they're holding off on that for like a next episode or two.
I like the dynamic between the or the the justice, whatever he is, between him and Kate, because
he's a magistrate.
With like when he sees her the first time and then he sees her again in the bar and he's just like, I'm disappointed. I thought you were better than this. Like he knows nothing about her, but he assumes that she's just been around the town. She's like, I've only been with one man, so whatever. Like she's like, I'm worth more than that, so just kiss my ass. Don't judge a book by its cover or whatever.
And she fell in love with him instantly. You didn't see that look?
Oh, they totally have a thing for each other.
So,
I think it's cute.
Yeah, it is super
cute. It will
cute.
be cute until Miss Quigley finds out about it. And then she'll bring her down to the loony bin.
No boyfriends under her roof.
Mrs. Quigley ruins everything.
She's a real Debbie Downer, that one.
Yeah, the control freak. That is.
Well, especially where Kate is the daughter she never had. Like, she's going to go off the rails. I think. My prediction.
She did a lot for Kate. And love gets you killed every time. Didn't Charlotte Wells say that a long time ago? Love will get you killed. Or did Margaret tell Charlotte that? Something in this line of business.
Someone said it at some point.
I remember that.
Said marriage is a thief. That's what Charlotte says, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But, I have a Cheech and Chong memory, so.
I know. Me too, especially tonight.
Like Sasuke mentions that there was good lines in this episode. Like her children all had different fathers, but just one pa. I think that's what Mr. Young says. Jonas?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's what he says when he and Mr. North are having their heart-to-heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, oh, so nice, because like we haven't really seen a older man in this show that is white, that isn't like up with like the craziness that's with Lydia, besides Mr. Armitage. That's like about it. So it's and we kind of see him. He floats around.
And Mr. Armitage isn't even white. He's a muscle hamster. And at the same time, it's right. It's not. It's refreshing to know that he's not a serial killer like all the other rich white guys in town. Are you a Spartan? Yes.
It's like I'm surprised that they almost were like, do you want to be a Spartan? Like almost like one of those random crazy people. Or same with the magistrate. It's like, you want to be a Spartan? And then like one of my other questions is like Fanny and Fanny being a good friend, because I think Emily runs to Greek Street and is like banging on the door like, I'm in trouble here, and then Fanny's like, you chose your side in this whole situation, and Fanny's just like, okay, I'll deal with this. Like, poor Fanny, like she has like her little girl Kitty, and she's basically running Greek Street while everybody else is away. Like, I feel like Fanny's gonna rise to some degree. What do you guys kind of think about that? Fanny in these couple of episodes, especially after she finds out about poor Charlotte.
She's the only person not losing her shit and like still able to get things done. Everyone else is just scattered. And Fanny's like just holding down the fort.
That's her best girl.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
She'll be.
I was looking at the
She's a
chat.
natural den mother.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what it seems like. She's really caring, nurturing. She has the empathy, but she also she has common sense, which, you know, a lot of people in the world just don't have common sense. They think they do. I think I have common sense, but I know I don't. I'm a raging idiot. But, you know, that's why y'all love me. All right, then. Deal with it.
I think that Fanny absorbed a lot from Margaret while she was there. And the difference between Charlotte and Fanny is that Fanny is also a mother. So I feel like she has a different perspective. It's just something, you just have a different perspective when you're a parent versus someone who doesn't have children. Like, and even in a situation like that where they're in a business setting, like, still going to have just a different like empathy for her girls versus Charlotte, who's going to be slightly more self-centered just because she doesn't have children to be responsible for. It's just the way of the world. I mean, anyone that has children knows this. Anyone that doesn't have children usually does anyways. But it's just, you know, I think that Fanny was able to absorb a lot of that maternal stuff from Mrs. Wells. And then she still has the capability of being like really responsible and running the show, and still, you know, like, she was also basically raised as part of the family too. Like, those girls are nearly the same age as her. So, and even in the past, Lucy has said, you know, I don't want to be like Fanny. I don't want to have to live like that. And, you know, there is that difference between them, but that's another reason why Fanny would want it even more to like cling to that home, you know? So I don't know. I think that
I just got a epiphany that you helped. I don't know why it helped me with Fanny, right? But made me think about Lucy. That what if she just gets paid to date all the gay men in town so they look straight? And that she's acting like she's sleeping with them and not sleeping with them. She's kind of already doing that. Oh, I could see that racket for her. Okay, that's my prediction.
For Lucy?
But go ahead, keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense. And yeah, with Fanny, yeah, I feel like Fanny's gonna pull up her bootstraps and really kind of take care of Greek Street, because while everybody else is in mourning, and kind of in Golden Square, which is a big thing with this, with May, who was the third business partner in the business that Lucy and Elizabeth have started. Obviously, or not obviously, Quigley's going to try and get Golden Square back. How long does it take before she gets Golden Square back? 1 episode? 2 episodes? End
She's
of the
in a good
season?
spot for getting it back.
Johnny, how long do you think it's going to take Quigley to get Golden Square back?
Oh, Quigley? She's going to... Never?
Never.
I don't think she's going to get it back. I think she'll get right there close to it and then die before she can grasp it in her fingers. All poetic-like. She'll be like, oh no, I knew I should not have eaten fish again.
Yeah, she's probably never going to eat fish again in her life. No, that's that really worked out swimmingly for her with Miss May dying. But that was sort of a satisfying moment for her to like just get to watch that old bitch die. But I
liked watching her die.
Yeah, she had a pretty good death. But yeah, then just figuring out all of her little things and then getting straight over there. So I think that, Lydia wants Golden Square back. That's her home. So she's going to do what she's got to do to get it. And she's already proving that she's willing to be cutthroat. She's willing to watch that old lady die and not help her and figure out, what cookie jars she's got her little fingers in. And now she's got both Mrs. May's house and she's got Golden Square, or part of Golden Square. So
that's why she'll be buried 6 feet underneath Golden Square.
In the floorboards. Mrs.
She's gonna haunt it.
Oh yeah, that'd be which one? The Ghost of Christmas Past, the one with the chains?
I guess
Yeah,
so.
that's Miss Quigley right there. Come and show you the error of your ways.
I worry that Lucy's gonna be in a pot of hot water soon with the whole Molly House thing once Mrs. Quigley figures out what's really going on there. I mean, that's some serious blackmail material. I mean, since that can automatically land Lucy the noose. Margaret
Wells actually gets hanged this time. So it's okay. I did it right.
So, like, she has Lucy and Margaret and everybody, like, at the snap of her fingers. She could have everybody just having to play her game again.
The wild card is the goddess, though.
They're going to play the Quigley quest. That's what was going to go on. Yeah, I think it may be, like, end of the season thing where Quigley's starting to get back her piece, at least, of Golden Square. They have... Oh, yeah. But before we go kind of talk about the burial, which was a big emotional scene as well, we have Isaac running around town clutching Charlotte's dress. It's like one of those situations where it's like, buddy, are you okay? Like, even Fanny's like, what are you doing? And he's like, do not stop me. And it's like one of those things where even Emily like rips the dress out of his hand and is like, are you insane? Like, how did you?
Yes, I am. I got blue balls because I had a raging boner and then my girlfriend got killed. And now I must have some kind of release because I never got to tell her I loved her. And I'm going to make this bitch feel weird. No, he's awful.
God.
He's awful. I don't know why you would ever... I don't like anything about his character. He's awful. I was hoping that harlot would stab him the same as Lucy stabbed Howard the Duck. That's what I was hoping happened because that's too much, man. That's too much. I love you. I love you.
He's gone way off the deep end.
Yeah, that was a little bit greasy when he made the harlot, the one that gross girl too. She's like not cute, but
sorry for saying the B word.
But it is sad, like how sad he is. The whole situation is sad. You know, he really liked Charlotte a lot. He really she had her claws in him, and he was really into her. And I believe that he loved her. And she even admitted it to her sister. You know, if she's willing to tell her sister that she's like banging this guy and that she's like, if she's like, I'm Tuppin Isaac Pincher and I can't stop myself. I don't know why, but I just can't keep my hands off of him. She was into him and he was into her. They like were in love with each other. And the whole thing was like pretty sad how it all went down. And then the fact that, you know, it was Isaac's brother, like, and then he's just, I hate that guy. I hate Hal. I don't hate Isaac. I hate Hal though. And Isaac is just sad and heartbroken and distraught and doesn't know what to do with himself. And he can't talk to her friends or family. You know, he doesn't have anyone to talk to. Hal's the one that killed her. And he's like lying about it to his girlfriend who also knew that. Like, it's just the whole situation is a mess. And I don't blame him one bit for just like that moments that he's had where he's just like wandering around, just like, holy fuck, like he doesn't know what to do with himself. So he's, yeah, it's just pretty sad, like what he's going through. And she, like, I don't know, the whole scene with the other girl is just, yeah, that's kind of goes over the deep end. But
Yeah.
Besides that, it's all pretty sad.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're just like, especially like with the girl that Emily plays to sleep with Isaac to like make him think about something else. It's like, just wear my dead, I don't know, the friend, my dead girl's dress and see if that'll turn me on. It's like, I don't think that like that would like. I don't think obviously she knew that it was Charlotte Wells' dress and she's now dead, but also at the same time, that's just weird. Like, put on this outfit and you can presume that it's somebody else's, and it's like, and then like, let's go.
But it smells like her.
So that's not creepy.
Well, I mean,
he wanted to Monica Lewinsky her dress.
I gotta hold myself back. This weird joke. Good thing he didn't have a cigar.
No.
He's like, God. Put this on her while she's laid out for the town. Oh. That was a pretty
Yeah, this is uncomfortable, even for me. That's saying something.
Yeah,
I mean, I do feel bad for him, but I don't know. Sasa brings up a good question that maybe the episode focused a little too much on Isaac, and they showed Margaret's grieving, but they didn't really show much for Lucy and Mr. North and Nancy and everyone else. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'd say that it was a lot of it was focused on Alfie Allen's acting. But also at the same time, it's like the whole catalyst to why she effectively died is because of their relationship. I mean, I'm not surprised that they didn't focus too much on the other main characters like Mr. North and Lucy and Nancy, because I feel like it's going to be drawn out over the next episode, because I don't know, because of like the confrontation in the graveyard, like when it's like, do you want to insult like a grieving mother? It's like, well,
they came by.
Yeah, like that whole scenario. It's like, I mean, like that whole scene was like,
don't you dare defend Emily Lacey, Sasa.
No, what I was trying to say was like that scene was really kind of like difficult to watch because it's just like one of those.
It was so cringy.
And like Emma, she's like, I didn't see it. It was just like, yes, you did. You know what happened, and it's like you're trying to cover up for like Hal Pincher, who is gonna be like, he killed blah blah blah, like the whole thing. For the rest of the season, basically, and you're just gonna be like, why does this actor still has to like be around, kind of thing, and
she's just getting herself in more trouble.
Yeah, But that's Emily Lacey's thing. She gets in more trouble every season.
God, it really is.
Johnny, what do you think?
I don't know. She's smart enough to get herself into decent situations, but just gets. I feel like she just gets overwhelmed and doesn't know how to deal with pressure.
That's fair.
My thing with Emily Lacey. I mean, maybe she'll figure it out. She's starting to learn some stuff this season. So, I mean, this whole show is about just the characters evolving and learning from their fuck ups, basically. To put it simply. And Emily Lacey is a perfect example of that. And I understand what she's saying, but she's, come on, it's the next day. She might as well just not even said anything.
Yeah, she should have just been like, I didn't see anything. I was watching the fight, and that's that. Just hands in the air. Because she's a horrible liar, too. Like, that Justice has her pegged. And he's, when he was talking about how he's a patient man and her lies are going to crack, like, yep, that's exactly what's going to happen with poor Emily.
Mm-hmm. And it's like almost one of those.
Are they going to ever find Charles?
I think
that's what I'm wondering, because he's so downtrodden. This is the thing for Quigley. She wants to kill him, right? But no, that's her baby boy Charles, and he's already. I think she's gonna find him in a situation where she feels like he's already been punished for his crime, so to speak. You know what I mean? He's gonna be ready to run back in Mama's arms and listen to her, and then she'll have a son and a daughter, possibly, and that may be an interesting. Play there, but I'm glad Erin wasn't here to spoil me though.
Oh, sorry guys. I don't know what the heck happened. It like logged me out of the whole StreamYard. I had to like get a code emailed. Anyways, whatever. Thanks, StreamYard.
I think if we see Charles again, it'll be after Lydia has gotten herself established and is making money and has a reputation, and if he hasn't landed himself in debtor's jail, then I think he'll make his way back and on his hands and knees clinging to mom's skirts again in the creepy man-child way.
Are we talking about Quiggy?
Oh, yeah. Quiggy. Well, let me tell you my
about the man baby.
Bold prediction is that she'll find Charles somehow and deem him to have been punished for his crimes already. And then Sugar Piggy's back. But anyways, that's what I think.
Cherry's been waiting for him. Cherry's waiting for her
Poor
Quiggy.
Cherry. She needs to get her a wooden tooth.
No, I love that she doesn't have a tooth. That is like she is like the pretty. Okay, I mean, she is a beautiful little lady. Yeah, she's like a beautiful little small person. How do you say this PC? But anyway, she's gorgeous. And then I love that she doesn't have a tooth. And also I love that Margaret has the one tooth has like the silver filling. I just think that that's kind of badass personally. Like, it's just very like throwback. She's like, it's those little accents that they do that are very, that just satisfied me on a level.
I was just making a wooden tooth joke. I didn't know I was opening a can of worms, but I concede your argument, okay?
His teeth were made of wool. Does anyone get that joke? No? Too old? All right. Anyways. That's I think Big Daddy, right? Anyone?
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm caught up now.
Thanks, Kaci.
Keep up.
I'm trying to keep up.
Keep up, Anonymous.
Damn you! You give him all the easy ones.
Yeah.
He's like, how about a sausage McMuffin with egg? Okay, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, and then we kind of talked about most of the stuff except for Harriet, because Harriet is the one who basically tells Fanny and then Jacob that Charlotte has died, and that's really hard. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't have like somebody else come and tell him that his sister is dead. But I mean, it makes sense because it's like Harriet, and Harriet's always in like Jacob's good
Harriet's
graces.
like the cool aunt for him.
Yeah, they have a close relationship. I think if anyone, that wasn't his mom. Like his mom obviously couldn't be the one to go. So I think that Harriet was. I'm sure that Margaret would love that to be his backup mom. But
no, I like Harriet too. Like with all the girls' shit they've been going through with the house and everything, and then this, like she's even with her and Margaret's, history and everything. She's still stepped in and just handled it. Like she's definitely being the bigger person here, even though I know not everyone likes Harriet.
Sorry.
You're fine. But no, I like I like the way that Harriet has been handling herself and handling her business, and she's just really savvy about everything. I see her like Fanny, like just kind of holding down the fort while everyone else loses their shit.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that's been happening, and almost not to say that Margaret doesn't understand what Jacob is going through, but it's giving the perspective of a woman that's like from the same background, kind of like the fact that because Margaret is obviously white and Harriet is obviously like of darker complexion or African American, I guess you could call it, that he can kind of look to her as like the mother figure for that.
She's definitely not African American. I know that for sure. They would have to be in America.
Well, she was from America.
Chops.
She was from America, yeah.
See, I didn't.
She identifies as.
In the loosest context.
As far as we know, she identifies as African American as of 2019.
But
I think we're covered.
Yeah, like but with that aspect, like because he cannot, it's like obviously has the connection with his mother, but there's the motherly aspect of a mother who's from the same cultural background relative as he is. And he probably sees that in her as well, because he has had Mr. North, but not like a woman of the same culture as he has almost. So it's kind of nice.
And I think that even we saw Jacob was sleeping in the bed, I think with Harriet's kids too. Mm-hmm. So I think they all are just like growing up really close to each other. And Harriet's probably like very much a mother figure. So, and she wouldn't have done it if it wasn't something she was comfortable with, but it's a sad situation.
No, she and her girls have been really good with helping out with Jacob and Kitty and everything like that. Like they've been awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, the two little kids. Yeah. I think they're kind of always in the background, her kids. But I think that's about it. I don't think we really missed anything that we didn't. Oh, the prince. But basically, yeah, that Kate is going to be like sold off to be the fourth in line's mistress.
That's the goal.
Oh, he's egg. I didn't catch that he's fourth in line, but he's totally egg.
I think so because Edward is the king right now.
To Game of Thrones.
He's probably Maekar, actually. Let's be honest.
I thought egg was lower than fourth in line. Way down farther than fourth in line.
He was fourth son of the fourth son.
Oh, so it's like a super lower than fourth in line. Okay, but like yeah, 8. Okay. That me going back and wanting to read more Duncan Egg, even though I read it like 14 times.
I thought you just finished reading it. But yeah, no, he's the fourth son of the fourth son. And if this guy would be like Makar, and Makar was a whiny bitch. So if that tells you anything, this guy is about to be a whiny bitch. But we haven't
gives you that impression right off the bat too.
Yeah, especially with his lipstick and his really great
rosy
rouge.
He was taking makeup tips from Mrs. May.
I bet you the prince ends up at the Molly house.
Oh my god! No,
Lucy Wales.
I'll tell you this much:
fake girlfriend.
Kate Bottomley is not just that name is not just like Charlotte the Harlot and Lucy Goosey.
Oh no!
Oh my god!
Kate Bottomley. They pick these names strategically.
Yeah, but something to ponder while we wait for next week. Anyway, I think we kind of covered the big broad strokes of each episode and kind of asked the questions that we needed to. But yeah, it's dangerous that Margot Wells is in London and Lydia Quigley knows now about it. So, what did you guys overall think about this episode in the chat? Let us know. And yeah, like, what do you kind of rate this episode and final thoughts? God dang it, of these two episodes.
Hold on. Yeah, Johnny, you go first because I'm thinking about a thing.
Well, my final thoughts on these two. No, these are really, really strong episodes. Harlots has not let me down so far, and this was an emotional pit, a void in my soul. It really got to me, and that's what a good TV show does. And this was just a somber 2 episodes that... honestly, I'm ready for a little pick-me-up, But we saw a whole lot here. A couple of pugilists beating the hell out of each other. Charlotte did a nice double gainer as she was falling from the over the railing. I don't know. I'm having a brain fart, and I'm Johnny Be Crazy. Rankings, I guess, and I'll try to throw in some other thoughts in a minute. I'm just drawing a blank as to what I want to say, but okay. I'll give it I'll give them both a 9 out of 10 dick sleeves. That is all.
I don't think these episodes really left anything to be desired.
That's okay. She keeps catching me. I'm sorry. I need to mute myself.
No, you're fine. No, just the drama was good. The storyline was good. The acting was as good as ever. I think I get in out of hours. I didn't really have episode characters that some of the characters I'm just not a super fan of, but everything was great as far as I'm concerned. They didn't leave you really wanting anything else as far as any explanations or the storyline goes, I don't think.
I am going to give it, I'll say 8.5. Well, I'll say the first one's episode 3 was a 9 and episode 2 was an 8. I'll say, all right, so 8.5. Charlotte's crushed craniums. Charlotte's concussed cranium. Yeah, it was really a lot of that's my favorite part of things. Okay, so don't make fun of me. But no,
the alabaster aneurysm of 7. Oh.
Oh no.
Oh, that hurt my soul.
Yeah, it was really sad. Her dying. It was just, I remember the first time I watched it, and even this time, it was just like, I can't believe that that's happening. Like, you just kind of expect her. I mean, I don't know. After like us being such huge Game of Thrones fans, you would think that like we'd be more adjusted to these deaths, but maybe I just wasn't expecting it in the show, especially with the main character like this. I didn't think they were going to pull a Ned Stark on me. I just wasn't
This
ready.
is better than Ned Stark. This was an accident.
Yeah, because it's like in the middle of the season, yeah, it's an accident. It's truly unexpected. And it's, you really just, it really catches you off guard. And then the fact that she doesn't get up or that she doesn't like live in a coma for a while or anything like that, it's not drawn out. She's dead. That's it. And it's really heartbreaking. So it's hard to watch. And then, thankfully, though, going back to the very beginning when we talked about, did Margaret come back too soon? That is one thing. At least Margaret got to see her before she died, because it would have been way harder if she had missed that and had no idea, or that it happened.
Well, I heard Kaci
had no way to tell her.
and Kenzie didn't want her to see Charlotte. Said that Margaret didn't even deserve to see Charlotte. She was such an asshole for coming
You're
back.
taking that out of context,
I'm just-
Mr. Crazy.
Johnny's lying to you all. It's basically that. Basically, what I said, I think, before the show was that if Margaret hadn't come back, then it would have been likely that Charlotte wouldn't have died in general, but at least in that way, because the whole reason why effectively Hal pushes Charlotte is because of the deal being gone off with Mr. Young. So, yeah. It's like, if Margaret hadn't shown up, then her daughter wouldn't have died.
That is a good point. It was a big vicious circle. That I wonder if Margaret is beating herself up with that, if she's like, if I would have never come back, then. But it's not like Charlotte wasn't already involved with those guys regardless. So I feel like Hal is a dangerous loose cannon no matter what. I feel like both of those boys have like loose cannon tendencies. At least Isaac loved Charlotte, but eventually that would have probably run out or run its course, and then they would have gone back to being enemies. Like, it was just kind of a ticking time bomb, but that was probably part of like the passion between them too. But
he would have just set her on fire at some point. I mean,
yeah.
Oh God.
Those Pincher boys are bad news. They're freaking bad news.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have gone badly one way or another, and I don't think that Margaret can be held responsible for that entirely. It just happened to play out the way that it did, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's kind of like my final thought with the episode. I would kind of rate these to 9.
Isabella better have some good homeowners insurance. I just had to throw that in there.
Oh God.
9.7. What was I gonna say? I've lost it. Oh no, it was like 9.7. What was it? Dang it, I forgot what.
I destroyed Sasa. Been doing it all night.
Oh, but it was like 9. It was something kind of funny. I should have wrote it down. It'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, do you guys have anything going on your channels? I know, Johnny, you posted a new video yesterday. So
yeah.
What you got?
It's funny. But there'll be some shit coming out. I don't want to be saying a whole bunch of stuff, but there's shit in the works and people have seen proof, so deal with it. And that's my new favorite saying, so I gotta quit saying that now and go to a new one. Gotta freshen up the dialogue every week.
Mhm.
So I won't be saying bitch anymore. So
Sure about that?
I must have just been watching some fucked up TV shows. I don't know.
I think that's all we watch.
Well, yeah. So I saw 9.75. Tender blows to the head.
Or
9.75 centimeter fishbone.
Severed spinal cords.
like
Oh God.
or
we're just kind of trailing off here at the end. Just
9.5 pints of blood
um,
leaking onto the floor from your skull.
or it's like 9.75.
Uh,
Your ex steals your dresses. I don't know. That's not it, but it's like ex is stealing dresses. I don't know.
Exes stealing dresses. Oh. Well, as Sasake says, a wank dress. So
Yeah. That's what got me earlier. Sorry, guys. Wank dress.
Or creepy doll. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Sasuke is going to be guest hosting on Citadel of Trivia on Friday. I know Mandy loves that. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any? I know, Erin, do you have anything you got to
try it out?
Or Kaci? Kaci, I know you put out the Sabrina video last week or the week before. So.
I have my episode 1 explanation video out. I'm still working on episode 2. I thought I was going to have it done last weekend, but that obviously didn't go to plan. So I'm finishing that up, and hopefully we'll have that out before next Wednesday.
Oh yeah, who's we? You got you a team? Tell us about it.
Me, myself, and I, the mom who's trying to make videos and keep up with a psychotic child.
He's doing a great job. I'm almost done with Sabrina Part 3. It's good. If you haven't checked out Sabrina, it's a very fun ride.
Oh, it is.
I don't know. It's a fun ride.
I have to go back.
It doesn't take itself too seriously either. And that's kind of the key to the show for me.
Team Kaci.
And I'll mumble away till the end.
Erin, do you have anything that you're working on? I know you've got a video that you're on.
Oh yeah, I've just been working on. I went really northern right there. I am working on some stuff for my new channel, The Fae Fire. So check that out if you guys haven't. Well, I mean, there's nothing on there, but you can go subscribe to it, and I'm gonna get you a video here real soon. But I mostly have my first stuff written up, so I am starting to get my video stuff together. I'm doing a new intro and all that kind of stuff, so it's taking a little bit longer, but I'm getting it together, so hopefully I should have a video out for you guys in like the next week-ish. But yeah, I'm getting there.
I was like, yeah.
Mackenzie knows I say these things, and then 6
I
months.
was like, okay. It's gonna be like the thing of like, oh, okay, yeah. But I was like, I don't know.
It's hard to predict.
Yeah. Next, for this channel here, we have obviously the next 2 episodes 5 and 6. And we have 2 more weeks effectively of Harlots left, and then we're back to our crazy show, which is Westworld. We've chosen Westworld to be the next big show that we're going to talk about. So we're going to do it in season chunks until obviously season 3 starts. So also shout out to Patreon. Patreon is...
Oh, never mind. I'm trying to get the Fae Fire. It won't let me share it on my phone, but I'm going to throw it in the chat. Be right back. And then I'll throw all the Sasa's Patreon in the chat and Kaci's stuff in the chat. Wrenches.
Yeah.
Hint, wrenches.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it too. I got to figure out how to do this here. Sorry.
Yeah, we got that going on. We might do a couple fun streams that we still have to plan. It's just been, life is so hectic. But yeah, we got that going on. Patreon is getting videos for now. It's been hard recently with doing my internship and being there almost every day. So go check out that if you want some videos. I have a bookshelf tour on right now. I'm doing a book haul that's recorded. I just have to edit it. And yeah, because the Patreons are awesome, and you gotta shout them out. They know who they are. They are so awesome, and they keep the channel going. So yeah, I think we'll be talking about 5 and 6, do some fun streams, and yeah, it's been so great to talk about such a sad 2 episodes of Harlots. We knew it was going to happen.
So great.
It was going to happen eventually, that we're going to have to talk about sad episodes on this show. But they were good ones, and who knows? It can only go up from here, right? I don't know, because this isn't Game of Thrones.
It's a long downhill from here. But no, this I feel like was kind of the buildup of like the whole show so far. I mean, like it was crazy when Margaret got sent off, but I feel like this is even like a step beyond that. So yeah, the whole thing's, like you said earlier, the whole dynamic of the show is going to change.
It's gonna shift. But with that, I think we'll see you all at least next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Reusable rubbers cost $1. One dinner.